Brendan and I were talking. I don't think, Derek, you were in the office last week when this mini conversation happened, but Mal and I decided to go to like an orchard or farm or something like that, just get out for the Saturday while we had like one nice day left, basically until the spring or summer. And I mentioned to Brendan that we were going to Sorgel's. And so we went, and best part about it, and not best part, it wasn't fun in any way. First time in like 20 years, I got some sort of bee or wasp or something sting. Got nailed trying to go into the gift shop, and so I got this nice heart-shaped rash on my right elbow. So
sure, that's what the rash is from. Sure. I am Butler Eagle Sports writer Derek Pida, and here with me today are fellow sports writer Brendan Howe and Eagle Sports editor Jake Murda Adams. This is season 2 of the Alter Eagles Eye on Sports.
I was just sitting as I hit the.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I managed to sink my seat. Wow, we're off to a great start today. Yeah, so I got a bee sting or something stung me at Sorgel's. That was my takeaway from going there. That is a crazy place. That was super packed. I was not expecting that.
It's like the most popular pumpkin patch around here. So, speaking of, that wasn't for your anniversary, right? That was just like
no, we just went out.
You're doing that this week?
Yeah, our anniversary is this week.
We went out to Bailey and I made dinner reservations for Melting Pot, and I can't make this up. As soon as we sit down on the table, my phone starts ringing and it reads Butler Eagle as the contact. I was like, that doesn't usually come up. Like, who's calling me? Like, what's going on here? And I looked at Bailey. I was like, should I answer it? And I was like, hesitating. I was like, I'm going to answer it real quick. And it was John on the other end. I go, John, literally right as I sit down, you call me. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. My phone was in the car and I needed to call you and let you know I was done here. So I was like, all right. Like, I just thought it was funny that even as I'm sitting down for anniversary dinner, work comes up and pops up somehow. Like,
so Derek, you and I are in the married club now. Brendan may one day get there.
I think I am.
Don't even comment on me.
I wasn't until you did it. You started that. That's your fault.
Derek's dad is always there.
I'm coming up on year number 1 of marriage. It feels like it's been 10 because we've been dating for 10 years. We've been together for 10 years. More than 10 years.
It feels like 10 because we've been dating for 10.
Well, we've been living together and we moved like 3 different states, 6 different apartments / houses.
Wherever we go.
Yeah.
Whatever we do.
Our wedding last year was more just a formality than anything else. But anyway, the question I wanted to ask you, and I want to throw this to Brendan as a dating question, is at what point does the anniversary, when does the value of the anniversary start to decline, I guess, a little bit, where it's just like, okay, yeah, happy anniversary, it's nice, but like it's not the big one anymore. Like year 1 is big. Mal and I are going to go out and go to the Pittsburgh Zoo for the Halloween Jack-o'-lantern festival. We're going to go to the conservatory before that because they have like a Japanese garden theme, and we went to Japan for our honeymoon, and we're going to go to a nice dinner in between. But like
that's a full day.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Phipps is pretty nice. I went there last year.
We've been there once before already. We really liked it. We saw it was going to be Japanese theme for this month or a couple months. We're like, oh, that's like, it fits with our honeymoon and everything. But like dating wise, by the time she and I were dating, we had already had like several relationships before that. So like our first anniversary kind of was cool, but then after that I was like, happy anniversary, we go to dinner, and not too much else after that. So for you, with your wedding anniversary, when did it start to kind of just become a pleasant routine, but a routine? And then I want to throw a different version of this to Brendan.
Well, we went out to dinner for our first few. I mean, it's never been anything extravagant.
Yeah.
You brought to McDonald's.
But no, not McDonald's. That's for her birthday. But we went out to dinner for the first few, and we did make kind of a big deal out of our 10th, which was in 2023.
Okay.
But for other than the 10th, which was 2 years ago, the last 6 or 7 were celebrated. I mean, it came when we were up at camp. And when we're up at camp, my wife's family has a hunting camp up in between Williamsport and Scranton. I mean, you're literally 10 miles from any sense of civilization up there. It's kind of hard to, and there's other family members up there. It's kind of hard to like really get into the anniversary mood when you're in the woods.
Yeah.
Go shoot her a buck, come back in and be like, I got you some meat.
Here, baby.
We're having
venison tonight.
venison
We're having
tonight.
raccoon stew, baby. No, I
I'm
mean,
gonna get some jerky made.
luckily, I don't. Beth isn't the type of person that she's not going to feel like she's being slighted if we just go out to dinner somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't need the big gifts, thank God. And I don't need like, her to spend a bunch of money on me. I mean, we've got a kid, and that obviously, our son Will, that obviously affects how much money we can spend on each other, not just for anniversary, but for birthdays and Christmases. I think it's more, as long as she's still with me every anniversary. To me, that's kind of like, that's my reward. It's like, look, I'm with you another year.
Like winning.
So if I'm kind of reading into this right, like year one, the first anniversary was a quote unquote big deal.
We went out to eat. That was before Will came along.
And 5 was also probably like a reasonably big deal, maybe a little less so.
And then after that, it started getting until we got to 10, and then 10 was obviously pretty big. I do want to throw this out there real quick. In 2024, we celebrated our anniversary. It was on our anniversary. We went to the Thai place in Slippery Rock. Have you ever eaten there?
Mallory loves Thai.
Oh, it's great.
What's it called? What's that one called?
It's elephant
Thai food.
something, elephant something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's like right across, like catty corner from the Sheets. But we took Will with us, which was fine.
Corner.
I paid for everybody. And it was that day, about 2 hours after we got done eating, that Trump was almost assassanated. July 13th, 2024.
I was going to say, don't you know the date?
So Brendan, where I want to throw this with you is, as the resident non-married man on this show, so you're separated. There you go. What to you, Matt? Like, at what point in the timeline of dating will the anniversary, again, it still matters. You're going to celebrate it. And you've talked about this stuff on the show or like in the office about what you try to do for Bailey for Christmas or her birthday or anything like that. But when would it be like, okay, it's the next year's mark?
We kind of talked about this in terms of like, we don't go out for a lot of expensive dinners, and Saturday was the most expensive dinner I've ever bought. And it's like, it's nice to do that once a year, especially for an occasion like that. Like, I do value being with her. Like, she does a lot for me. So I think every year are you asking more of like, are you going to do the same things every year, or does it mean the same to you every year?
I guess like, what are the ones that you go like all out for? And all out meaning like within means, obviously, but what are the ones where it's going to matter? And the other words, like, we're going to celebrate with dinner. Like, to me, this year is a bigger deal for us. And not that we're doing anything crazy, but it's our first anniversary. I imagine for myself, year 2 is going to be like, okay, 2 years. Like, we're still going to go.
Are you going to do
like
FIPS?
That.
And I mean, then
know.
I'd see. I'd agree with you in that way. Maybe we do something different next year instead of like melting pot, which.
We're going to settle into a routine. I
Take out a loan.
Melting pot was good, but it wasn't what I expected in terms of like money. Like, she's like, you're gonna be full when you leave here. I left. I was like, okay.
You didn't think it was as expensive as you were expecting?
The thing I love about expensive restaurants like that is they make you cook your own food. Like, they literally bring you the broth, and I got oil, and they bring you the raw meat, and instead of them cooking it, you get to pay to make your own food.
So
it's like,
when we were in Japan,
hibachi.
we spent most of our time in Tokyo, and we spent a few nights in Osaka. But in the middle, we spent 2 nights in Fuji 5 Lakes region, which is kind of a touristy area to see Mount Fuji. And we were in what's called a ryokan, and it's a westernized version of it, not a truly traditional one. But a ryokan is for this one, it was like the fake rice paper sliding doors and stuff like that. You have a traditional quote unquote dinner in your living space where you're sitting on either your knees and heels, or you're sitting on the little chairs. They're like 4 inches off the ground. So we did that. Like, I just wanted to do something that was a little bit along those lines. I was trying to make sure I wasn't also being like culturally appropriating white guy. Because you don't want to offend anyone there, and everyone was super nice. But anyway, we did those dinners twice, and like they bring out this giant tray for you, and it's like a 9-course mini meal of like different types of sushi and seafood and some meat. But they had stuff similar, like here's this little bowl that you heat your soup in. Here's this other bowl that you're going to heat, these little mini fillets and stuff like that. So they explain everything that you're supposed to do, and then they leave, and then you have like 30, 45 minutes to eat your dinner in private, and then they come back and
they told us with the she just got the vegetable thing. Like she's not a big fan of like meats. I got steak, pork, chicken, and then teriyaki steak and shrimp. And they're
That's good.
like 2 to 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, 4 to. I was like,
wait, you had how many kinds of?
They give you like 2 slices, like 2 little pieces of steak, I think it was 4 little pieces of teriyaki steak.
And you just put it on a hot stone, right?
No, you drop it in a pot.
It's like an oil pot, and it
cooks they give you the breading, and you like put it in the egg wash and breading, and I'm pretty sure I overcooked like half of it just because I didn't want to undercook it.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
But listen, let me explain something to you. I took a steak class when I lived in New York, and I worked at a Double Eagle Steakhouse.
You've had a life.
It's better to eat raw because your body processes it faster. We are meat eaters. We are carnivores. The more you cook it, the less nutrients it has. It doesn't taste as good, and it's going to hang out in your body for a while. When I say a while, I mean like 6 months.
I didn't know that it took.
Yes.
Well, it's not sitting in your stomach for 6 months, but maybe
it's in your body. It doesn't process. Your body is processing it, which whenever you're sick, you shouldn't eat as much because it takes a lot of energy for your body to heal. So typically when you have like a cold or something, that's why you say like soups and lots of liquids, stuff like that, and a lot of sleep. You're not eating huge meals, right? I'm getting off on a tangent here.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the meat. But
Nurse
Laura. It's better to be like medium rare.
Well, I'd rather that than steak than.
It's just better for you.
I just want to make sure the pork was cooked.
But for the chicken, chicken's not like that. Chicken, you gotta cook it.
Yeah,
like get that pink out.
Salmonella.
Give me Kraft macaroni and cheese, and I'll be happy.
Oh my gosh, Derek.
We're going out for sushi on Saturday, so like.
Sushi.
This week is also Mallory's birthday, and this is her fault for when we got married. She wanted to get married in October, so she has to live with for the rest of our lives. Her birthday and our wedding are going to be 3 days apart. So this year, what I did, I gave her half of her. It's just one birthday / anniversary gift, but it's like 3 separate items. Oh, not separate; they're all the same order. And so I gave her one part of it on Sunday, and my mom bought her some Sailor Moon stuff that she has wanted, so I'm going to give that to her tomorrow on her actual birthday, and then Saturday I'm going to give her parts 2 and 3 of the other stuff that I got, and so she's not going to listen to this on Thursday. I'm confident in that.
We'll see, I guess.
She the first thing that I got her was this big blow up version of a Pokemon card that's framed, like someone like drew it out, designed it.
I just heard blow up. I'm like, okay, what are we doing?
No. Blown up version.
This is a
large
family
version.
show.
It's 11 by 17 instead of the little pocket size
It's a blow
card.
up Jake.
Okay. At 13:09, cut comment from Derek. I'm kidding.
She's gonna get
Not.
the other 2 Pokemon cards on Saturday when we celebrate our actual anniversary. So
See, Costco sells football cards now. I keep seeing that
I
on
did,
TikTok.
yeah.
I might.
Big boxes of them.
The thing is, too, the boxes they have, it's called like Downtown. Those are like the hottest cards on the market right now.
Oh, really?
They're like cartoon cards, but on like Chrome. And if you pull one, all of them are worth at least $300 or $400. Like there was I guess it's been around for a little while because there's an Antonio Brown one at the show in Butler I went to a few weeks ago, and it was $540. And they're really cool cards too. But
you need to show him a picture of the cake that you made her, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'll show. Okay, yeah, I'll show you guys that at another point in the show here while we're wrapping up this, because we do gotta get to football here in a minute. But my card thing that I want, since you brought it up, I just read this today. Have you heard of the Kyle Kendrick crotch card pitcher? Okay, so
Wait, what?
It's called the Kyle Kendrick crotch card. So you know how in our system when we do stories, we have to crop the photos to show up on the carousel in a certain way.
Yeah.
So like if we have a vertical photo and we don't change the cropping, the vertical photo could be on like an athlete's crotch or butt or whatever, like their midsection. Something apparently similar happened with some of these Topps baseball cards, and they're like it's not known how many of them are out there, but they're now like this weirdly niche commodity. It's on the Athletics site. I just read the story about it today. So in 2016, he was pitching for the Phillies, and there's just the regular photo of him throwing a pitch, but then somehow a couple of the cards got printed where it zoomed in on just his like belt.
That's crazy.
So the whole, like it says Kyle Kendrick, right-handed pitcher, Phillies, and then the main image is just like you can barely see the bottom of the
Is this Kyle single?
Probably no. I think he's married. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Also retired. No, he's still pitching. Actually, I think he was just pitching recently.
Let's see.
But it's like the 95% of the cards real estate
Derek's
is
like,
just his
once we get past
midsection.
Doug Drabeck, I'm kind
Derek's like, how did we get here? Like,
It's such a bizarre card, though.
where do we go from here?
Okay, we got to start talking about football.
We do. I'll get the photo for later.
He has not pitched since 2017.
Okay, go.
Brendan,
What's up?
you were at JC Stone on Friday. A game, I'm not surprised at all that North Catholic lost. I am surprised in the manner they lost. I thought it would be at least a close game for part of the way, and you saw a shutout, right?
No, it was 42-10.
Oh,
it might as well
42-10.
have been a shutout with how things were going.
Avonworth, yeah.
I told Jake this after I submitted my story. I knew it was going to be a numbers story. Like I knew it was going to be North Catholic scored this many this year. They were held in check, and then Avonworth has just been ridiculous on offense. And their coach wasn't very talkative after the game. Avonworth, I guess he didn't want to say anything that
Duke John Core.
yeah would rile North Catholic up or anything like that. And then North Catholic's coach Chris Rizzo was very just matter of fact. So I was like, I'm gonna have to add some sort of color into the story in some way. And when I added up Avonworth's rushing and passing statistics, and it said 599 yards, I was just hoping, for the sake of the story, be like over 500, so it actually sounded like a little sensational. When I saw 599, my jaw literally, I went, my jaw dropped, and I was like, okay. So we've known North Catholic's defense was a problem last year. I talked to Rizzo about that at our media day. He thought it'd be better this year, and Avonworth was the state runner-up last year. I think he said they came a field goal away from winning the state championship. They had this Wildcat package where this kid, I'm forgetting his name, they'd throw him in, and they'd just run off right or left tackle. He would find a gap and run. He had a 89-yard touchdown, two 50-yard touchdowns. I think one of them was receiving. This kid was unstoppable. Like, he was so fast, and he didn't look it. Like, he was like a just very average build, just
Luca Neal,
him. And the thing, too, was North Catholic, Logan Shade isn't 100%. I'm not sure if you still have him on your fantasy team or not. I noticed like a limp out of him as he was walking. That he wasn't their starting running back. They threw him in there a few times to run the ball. Wasn't really able to do much. Strong Avonworth defense too. But other than that, they had their full complement of receivers there. And it seems like whenever I show up, like we see Joey Felitsky's stats throughout the season, but I showed up last year against Beaver. Didn't have a great game. I showed up on Friday night, and he just did not look like his stats would suggest. And that could just be from facing a defense that good. Everybody has an off night, but you could tell he was disappointed in the way he played, just like he was last year. I think the biggest question going forward is, can that North Catholic offense get back up to speed as it was early in the season, and can the defense, in the toughest time of the year to come together as a defense, come together and be able to stop opponents? Because if Friday night was any indication, it's going to be an early exit for them.
That's the question. First of all, they have not clinched a playoff spot yet. There's still some work to do. But even if they do make the playoffs, you look at North Catholic this year, the good teams they have faced, the teams that are, good on offense, Avonworth, Beaver. I mean, they've all put up some points on, a lot of points on the Trojans. So it's a tough time of the year to say, man, we got to fix this, and we got to fix it like now. They're going up against a Hopewell team on Friday that has a really good offense. So we'll see how that turns out. I was actually at Mars for their game against Hampton.
I heard you're the only media member there at Mars.
I was. I thought, that's pretty much Mars' biggest rival. I mean, you can make a case for Knock, but, I mean, Mars and Hampton, they're in the same conference or section in almost every sport. And I was the only person from any media there. There was obviously no radio station, no TV station, no other newspaper besides me. I told the one guy, I said, I thought this press box would be packed. There was like me and like 4 other people there in the press box.
Wow.
But that was the first time I got to see Mars all year. And obviously I was impressed. They beat Hampton 49-10. Aiden Yoakum did his thing, although by his standards, he actually had a bit of an off week. I think it was his first game in 4 that he didn't rush for 200 yards. He ran for 127 and 3 touchdowns. Still a very strong game. The passing game looked good. Ethan Krasinski caught a touchdown pass. H-back, you did the story on H-backs a while back, so I talked to him after the game. The question for Mars is, and they play Indiana this week, I don't think they're going to have any trouble with the Indians to close out the regular season with a win, but when they run into the McKeesports or the Thomas Jeffersons in the playoffs, because we know what McKeesport's offense did to Mars last week, 56 points. Can they rise up and hold a team down enough to allow their offense? Because their offense scored 31 against McKeesport. So their offense is capable of scoring points against really good teams. The question for me is just kind of like North Catholic is, can their defense rise up and have a big game, with their season on the line, as it's going to be in a couple of weeks when the playoffs start?
I think more so than North Catholic. Mars has shown that, though. Like, you're going up, that McKeesport game I covered, they were going up against an angry Keemon Spell who was motivated. I think this time if they play him in the playoffs, Eric Kasparovich will probably just tell his players not to say a single word about anything McKeesport related, because I actually had Keemon Spell's TikTok come up on last night. One of his posts came on my For You page, and the interview after that he did with, I think, the Union Progress is what they call it. It's gone like national. Like all these assistant coaches on different college football teams. It was an Alabama coach I called and was like, I saw that interview, and I thought that was like, he was like hyping Keemon Spell up from the post on TikTok.
He just wants him to come to Alabama.
I think more so than North Catholic, Mars can come together and do that. Like we've seen for most of the season that they've been able to do that, and it could have just been an outlier that night, which, like I said, you're going against the number 1 running back in the nation. That happens.
Plus, I don't know how much this is going to come into play, but if they do run into McKeesport again, a game could very well be a neutral site, because I think that would be probably a semifinal game. So, Jake.
Union AC Valley's loss last week was kind of – I don't think the loss in itself was surprising. It was the way in which they lost. They went up 7-0 on a Logan Skaminsky touchdown, and they looked decent from what bouncing back and forth between different streams. I tried to watch a good chunk of the beginning of that game because I figured it was going to be the most competitive one that we didn't have a reporter at. And they were doing well early. I wouldn't necessarily say in control. Had a good first drive to score a touchdown. But then it was all Port Allegheny after that. And by the middle of the second quarter, halftime, it's just kind of like, I think this one's over. I don't know what it was. It could have just been one of those just bad days. I believe the quarterback had like a turnover or two, so that's going to contribute to it. Freshman quarterback, we talked about him. He's been very poised all year, but Port Allegheny is easily their toughest test defensively. We knew that going in. Skabinski and Gallagher still got some yards. They were producing a little bit, but the defense, it just looked like couldn't stop anything that the Gators were throwing at them. It could be one of those things that, they had a somewhat soft schedule for most of the season, and they took their first real punch for the first time and didn't really have the background yet to be able to take it and know how to respond. Or maybe Port Allegheny is a lot better than we thought going into this, and the district is again going to run through them. So it'll be interesting because this could be a game that we see in the playoffs.
I think Derek will be there.
I think we will, because I know you gotta play the games, and the rest of the field in single A in District 9. There's some decent teams. I think Kane's going to make the playoffs. They're 7-2, but Union AC Valley played Kane this year and beat them. It wasn't really that close. So, unless something drastic changes as far as the matchups go and the teams we're going to be seeing facing each other in the playoffs, I'd be surprised if the District 9 championship game isn't Union AC Valley against Port Allegheny. But hey, that's a few weeks down the road. And Karns City handing Punxsutawney their first loss of the year.
And that was I worry. I would have figured, and I think I wrote this in my preview, Punxsutawney being at home after winning the first game the way that they did, I would have put them as like a 3-4 point favorite in that, just because of home field advantage, basically. And Karns City controlled that game. Like, from what I was watching streaming wise, like, that was all Karns City basically the entire game. They didn't really have any point where you thought, oh, this one might slip away again. I know Punxsutawney got a late score or two in that game to make it a little bit closer, but they looked a lot better than that one.
Our guest this week on the Eye on Sports podcast is Tracy Dailey, veteran head coach of Karns City girls soccer. Tracy is in her 12th season of leading the Lady Gremlins, who have won 4 straight District 9 titles. The team is currently 15-3, the number 2 seed in the Class A playoffs in District 9, and will host Kane tonight, Tuesday, in a district quarterfinal. Tracy, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So Karns City girls have a very strong tradition in girls soccer, but that said, every year has its own storylines. What are your thoughts on the year up to this point, and who are the leaders on the team in 2025?
You know, this season has kind of been the season of the unknowns. We lost Savannah Prescott, our goalkeeper, to graduation, and we had a goalkeeper in mind, Maddie Mahood, a sophomore basketball player, tall girl, good hand-eye coordination, and then unfortunately she had a basketball injury in the spring that led us to find out that she's not able to play goalkeeper for us. She was actually told to take a year and not do anything above her head other than basketball. So long story short, we were trying to find somebody interested, and Giada Bonetto, another sophomore player, had played a little bit for us last year. She kind of got thrown into that mix. So we put her in goal, and she's done very well for us. So that unknown of not knowing who we're going to replace Savannah, and that's a huge position on your team to try and not figure out who you're going to have. But Giada worked extremely hard over the summer with RJ Carson, our boys coach, and has done very well. So that unknown was the kind of the story of the summer. And then, you know, we're still working on some ACL injuries. We weren't sure when those players were coming back, and the likes of Caitlin Van Dyke, one of our leading goal scorers last year, and Trinity McFarland. Her recovery got, you know, not halted, but she had some hiccups in that recovery. So the unknowns are kind of the storyline this year for us.
We've had Mars's soccer coaches on in the past and stuff like that, and those are different kind of Whitfield Dynasty. You guys are District 9 Dynasty, but they've got like a lot of the Pittsburgh club players that come into this. You guys are a lot farther away from the city, so when you're dealing with these injuries, what's the challenge of trying to replace them? Do you have to deal with like a real drop off in experience or talent level at all, or how do you guys kind of cope with it?
You know, a lot of our girls play for those same clubs, and that's kind of interesting you brought that up. I think that's a question coming forward. But one thing with this group is they're very versatile. I have a bunch of players that we can kind of put in different spots. And, you know, Brie O'Donnell has picked up on our goal scoring this year a lot. She was out for the majority of the season last year with a concussion. You know, Phoebe Brennan, you throw her all over the field. Layla Colsey, the same thing. Hannah Daly's getting involved. So I think just the versatility has been very helpful, knowing, you know, and defensively, we have had Layla drop back to defense, which is definitely a big option for us. So just the versatility and trying to figure out when these players that are pivotal players for us are coming back. But the versatility has been great. But it's funny, the clubs that we see, we have players that play for Still City. We have players that play for Century, and they continue to play all season long or all year long. So we do have that experience coming with us.
So Tracy, we deal with all high school sports on this show, and sometimes when we're talking about a team that has won 3 district titles in 4 years or 4 district titles in 5 years, you know, the word dynasty gets thrown around loosely these days when it comes to team and its success. But when it comes to Karns City girls soccer, this is truly a dynasty. 26 District 9 titles in 30 years.
Yes.
Your teams that you have coached have been district champion 10 times in the last 11 years. Talent may fluctuate from year to year, but has there been a common denominator that you can think back and say each team had this quality or that quality?
Whenever I first took this job, my big thing was I wanted to give back to a program that, did so much for me as a person as well as a player. But, you have to get kids to buy into the culture. And I'm going to tell you, back 11 years ago, I think that was a bit easier because I was kind of new. They wanted to kind of see where and get the feel where I was at. And once they seen that, I'm here to make you a good soccer player, but I'm here to keep what we have going, what we started going. I mean, the dynasty at Karns City girls soccer, goes back to my playing days. And, we were taught you work hard. You don't give up. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. We like being underdogs because we surprise a lot of people. But I think the biggest thing is one of my things is to see these girls realize they can play with WPIAL teams. They can play with teams that are bigger than us. Like, that's where the dynasty comes in, because we set an expectation. We create the culture, the girls buy into the culture, and we see the wins coming from that culture.
So as the team's coach, what has being part of that much success been like for you? Because as you mentioned, this is your alma mater. I mean, this is a program where you have roots. What's so much success been for you as the head coach?
I think whenever I look at success, it's funny. Whenever I was asked for pictures, I had very few pictures of me, with the team. I'm usually the one taking the pictures or kind of behind the scenes. But I think the success is whenever you see on the girls' faces that they know they can compete. They can see that we can compete to the likes of DuBois, who has a nationally ranked goal scorer on their team. We compete with Winchester Thurston, out of the WPIAL. Just that success from their faces, knowing that they finally feel that they're good enough and they can compete at that level, is the success that I think I see the most and that I cherish the most, because you don't always see that. And, as you move along in the program and you see different players, they have a tendency to not sometimes gel so much, but you just see that gelling happen in the sport, and they're just great teammates and they come out being great young ladies. That's the success I love to see.
So many times when we've interviewed players in our careers on teams that have won 3 straight section or division titles or 4 straight district titles, or maybe 2 or 3 in a row at states or something like that, you hear that next group of seniors say, I don't want to be the one that has the streak end on my watch. So with you being part of the program for so long and having so many of those district titles be under your watch, either as coach or player, who feels more pressure? Is it your girls or is it you to make sure that we still win districts every year?
I think it's a combination of both. It's a nice combination. The girls know what the expectation is. They hold themselves accountable and their teammates accountable. But, I hold myself accountable too. I think as a coach, you can always grow and you learn. And one thing that I love to do is, just sit and chat with other coaches, especially at the collegiate level. Watching Coach Lammy at Grove City, we go to Edinburgh camp and we see the likes of the Edinburgh coaches, Penn State Barron with Patrick, just talking with them. You can always better yourself, whether that's a player or as a coach. And I think that's something that we have never stopped doing, is growing as people and then coming together to create this dynasty together.
I want to take a step back here and talk a little bit about or ask you some questions about your playing days. The girls program started in the 90s. Were you a soccer player before you got to high school? Did you ever what was your experience like before you even got into the high school?
So I was a softball player through and through. That was my first love. And Joe Mashenko back in the 90s, his daughter was my best friend, kind of got started into soccer that way. We started in our junior high program at Karns City. It was co-ed then. It's co-ed now. And then I just kind of progressed. And as I played more, the love for the sport grew. And I eventually just kind of focused on soccer throughout high school. And then I played club. I was in Northern Steel for my club days, and then went to Slippery Rock and played all 4 years under Noreen Herlihy, who's back at the helm at Slippery Rock. So I just think, getting a little bit of taste of what it could be was what got me. It was like catch, line, and sinker after that. And I even thoroughly enjoyed the program. And our program was special back then in the first few years. And to see where it's grown, it's been great to be a part of it.
So yeah, take us back through those first years. Were you on the first varsity team or one of the next couple? And what was your experience?
we started in 95, so I would have been a sophomore.
Okay.
I can remember distinctly we played Seneca Valley up north, and it was a blizzard. And we actually, I mean, we got beat 5-0 because it was Seneca Valley. But at that point, there wasn't really any classifications or anything. And small world, the girl who nutmegged me to go to goal was one of my best friends in college. We played together at Slippery Rock. So it's amazing just to kind of see the turnaround and where we started to where we're at now.
And now also includes your daughters. You have Emma,
Yes.
who played at Karns City. Now she's at Grove City. Your
Yes.
younger sister Hannah has been, or her younger sister, I should say, sorry, has been is on the team now too. So what are you guys anything other than Karns City soccer? Like, do you have any hobbies outside of this? What is this program and the sport and everything mean to you guys?
Well, we are soccer through and through, but, my husband and I are both very sports-oriented people. That's what we grew up with. Jake is an alumni from Grove City. He played football there. Alumni from Slippery Rock, played soccer there. And unfortunately, that's just kind of what we know. So I think that's kind of what the kids have grown up with. I mean, you look out my back window right now, and there's holes all through my garage siding because Jax is out there playing the lacrosse and throwing the football, and the girls are banging the soccer ball off of it. That's just what we know, and that's kind of what our fall consists of, is just go on the sports. Seeing the collegiate side of things has been great. I love being able to visit all the different schools and seeing just the campuses, and I would never get to experience that. Same thing with visiting all these high schools up north. Why would I ever go to St. Mary's when I'm playing soccer there? Those are the things that I really enjoy about this sport. But yeah, we're sports people through and through. Always have been and probably always will be. Unfortunately, we don't sing, we don't dance, we can't draw much, but we do love our sports.
I want to go back to one thing you brought up just a couple of minutes ago, Tracy.
Sure.
Seneca Valley in 95. Just to show you how the scene in girls soccer in the state of Pennsylvania has changed. That's back when there was one class for soccer across the entire state. So that's how you had a school the size of Seneca Valley playing a school the size of Karns City in the state playoffs, which is crazy to think about. Now there's 4 classes, obviously.
Yes, it was a crazy game. And I can't remember if it was at Brockway. It was somewhere up north. And we get off the bus and, they just have a sideline full of girls. We barely have, 11, 12, 13 maybe that play. Like, it was crazy to think that we were competing back then. We played Deer Lakes a ton back then, Pine Richland. I remember those schools all very well. And we competed. I mean, it wasn't like a total blowout. So it was pretty fun.
Staying atop District 9 is obviously one of the team's goals, but I know the girls also want to make as deep a run as possible in the state playoffs every year.
Sure.
To that end, your program usually schedules out-of-district games to get that extra competition during the regular season. Who have those opponents been this year for you? What type of out-of-conference or out-of-district games have you guys seen?
So I try every year to get us out of our District 9 teams. We see enough of them, and kudos to them as well. We have to play those games, but I really like the girls to experience a full 80-minute game. I think that is super imperative of our success going forward. So this year, we actually were able to play Berkshire High School out of Ohio, and that was a great game for us. They are a playoff caliber team from Ohio. Their assistant coach played at Grove City, who knew Jake. So, all that small world stuff. We actually played at Grove City College. So the girls got to experience that collegiate level field and playing, on a bigger stage than Karns City. We saw North Catholic. North Catholic's a great side. DJ Sharpless, I know him well from club. Simone and Hannah played together, so we were able to get that connection. We played Mercer, which was great. 100 goal scorer there and a player. So just trying to get that extra, competitive game, I think is super important. We need to be able to run for 80 minutes, especially this late in the season. Can my starters play for 80 minutes? They have to. And I think preparing for that is our out of league games.
So the deepest run, Tracy, I can remember Karns City girls soccer making came in 2015. Your girls got to the state playoffs by winning District 9. You beat 2 Whitfield teams, Shadyside Academy and Greensburg Central Catholic, to advance to the state semis before falling to Loyal Sauk Township. Now, it's been 10 years since that team. When you think back to that group of girls, what sticks out for you about that squad and the run it was able to make?
You know what? That squad consisted of the likes of Taylor Downs and Aubrey Ball, Brianna Brusamonte, Hunter Dittman. You know, Hunter was a leader for us the time she stepped on the field as a freshman. She just came in and she just set the tone. And then, you know, I think the girls bought into culture, but they bought into the leadership that these girls were taking on. Taylor Downs was a force to be reckoned with. And I think the preparation and just the grit that group had is hard to kind of bring that out in the other teams that I have coached. It was just something that you rarely saw in more than, you know, a handful of your players. It was across the board, every game. You know, they may have questioned me, but they were always willing to work for me. And I think once we hit about mid-season that year, you could see that look in their eyes that they knew they could compete, and they could compete at a very high level. You know, getting that win against Greensburg Central Catholic was, you know, probably one of the highlights of my career at this point. Like, because we were never, ever expected to win that game. And I mean, we held Bailey Cartwright to no goals. Like, it was truly, you know, a team effort. They worked for it, and that grit they had was amazing.
Tracy, in so many sports, you know, baseball, softball, football, basketball, Karns City and Montauk are natural rivals. I mean, it's literally a backyard rivalry. Of course, when it comes to soccer, Montauk doesn't have a soccer team. Is there a co-op that you guys have with them, or would you like to see Montauk get a soccer program just to kind of extend the rivalry into the soccer realm?
Right now, we don't have a co-op with them. I know Coach Carson on the boys' side is really looking to have something like that happen. And honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it at this point. We actually played with Catherine Kelly back in club, and I was hoping it would be something that could be worked out back during her high school days, because she was a great soccer player for Northern Steel for the team that Emma played on. But we co-opted with AC Valley, which was a great experience for us. We had Ava Burke on our team, who became a starter for us. That's something I would definitely entertain, because, you know, numbers, I think, across the board are falling everywhere you look. Unfortunately, kids aren't getting involved as much, you know, whether they don't want the commitment, whatever it may be, they want to be on their phones, whatever. But I do think it's something that we're going to have to entertain, as a lot of schools are at this point.
Tracy, we appreciate you taking the time with us. Good luck in the playoffs. Good luck to your girls.
Hey, thanks so much, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tracy.
Yep, thank you.
Hey friends, before we jump back in, just a quick reminder. If you're looking for all the latest high school football scores, schedules, news, and highlights around Butler County, make sure you check out this week's live coverage on our website. It starts every Thursday with features, previews, and more, and continues Friday evening with a live blog we update throughout the games and post-game recaps after that, so you don't miss a thing. ButlerEagle.com/section/sports has everything from local highlights to player spotlights, so it's a great place to stay caught up on all things high school football, soccer, and the rest of the fall sports. That's ButlerEagle.com/section/sports. Also, if you're enjoying this podcast, it really helps us out when you rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen. And don't be afraid to tell your friends and family. We love word of mouth. It not only helps more people find us, but it also lets us know what you'd like to hear more of. Thanks for your support. Now let's get back to the show.
So we got week 10 coming up, last week of the regular season, and it's pick time, guys.
It's pick time.
I'm going to there's been a few, maybe this was not really by coincidence that I forgot to, several weeks this year, I forgot to give our viewers an update on the standings. But I'm going to make sure I do it this week, because I'm at the bottom. I've been at the bottom now for several weeks.
You did gain ground.
Yeah, I gained one game. Jake and I both went 10-1 last week. The difference is he is now tied with Brendan for the lead, 73 wins, 21 losses. And Brendan, you went 9-2 last week. I am
9-2 is usually a pretty good week.
69-25. Oh man, I remember the year I beat Scoop. I think my record was like 98-19, and I got 25 losses already. It's a down year for me. Well, I've mentioned that before. Let's get into it. We got Thursday's game, the aforementioned Union AC Valley Falcon Knights hosting Reynolds. Thursday night special in Reimersburg. Brendan, who do you have here?
Union AC Valley 32-21.
Jake?
I got to pull this back up here. I was off in the wrong spot. Union AC Valley 35-27.
I'm taking Union AC Valley to close the regular season with a win, 31-7 over the Reynolds Raiders. All right, now we're going to go into the games with some actual analysis here. Butler at Central Clarion. Butler, of course, not able to go to the playoffs because they're independent, but they do have a chance to finish with 8 wins. Brendan, does it happen?
I will say that it's pretty safe to assume that the loss to Karns City that I covered last month with Central Clarion upset the Wildcats, who've won 3 in a row, including an 86-0 result against Bradford. I know Bradford's not the most.
No, they're not. We could go out and beat Bradford.
But I've rarely picked against Butler, and I see no harm in picking them here. Butler 35-31.
Jake?
I got Butler winning this one, too. I think it's going to be 28-20. This will be – I wanted to look this up. We've talked a little bit about just how historic their season has been, especially in the last 30-ish years. The last time this team won 8 regular season games, 1990, they went 9-3-1 under Tim Nunez. That's what's on the line tonight for this team because there are no playoffs. They can't get to 9 or more wins after this. So they're looking at setting a benchmark that they haven't reached since before I was born.
Central Clarion had a chance, or there would have been a chance for Central Clarion to enter this game in desperation mode. Had they lost last week to Du Bois, they actually beat Du Bois. Had they lost, Central Clarion would have been 4-5 entering this game and would have needed to beat Butler to finish 500 and go to the District 9 playoffs. They're 5-4 though because they upset Du Bois. So I think that desperation mode is obviously not going to be a part of this game, and I think Butler's going to go up there, and I think they're going to win fairly handedly, 35-17. I'm picking Butler to beat the Wildcats. Freeport at Amani Christian, Jake.
This ain't going to be close. Amani Christian's going to win this one. I have it's 48-14. I want to see how much do the Yellow Jackets actually attempt to compete in this game. They've got the playoffs already locked up. It's really just about seeding at this point, and I don't know how much it's worth beating your head up against a wall that's going to beat you back here. They're 7-2, 4-1 in the Allegheny 7. There's nothing much more to deal with. We've talked about Drew Ross being injured the last couple weeks. Do you sit him maybe? I don't know. He played better this past week, so he definitely seems like he might be getting healthier, but focuses on the playoffs for this team.
Yeah, they played much better last week, and I'll just say this: East Allegheny, their opponent last week, is not Amani Christian. Amani Christian's undefeated. Brendan, you give the Jackets a chance here?
Well, I don't doubt that they'll want to come out and compete. I don't see John Gaylott being someone that will let his team go out and kind of walk around. I do think that they're going to lose here, though, because the Saints' offense has been insane lately. They've posted wins, the team as a whole, of 61, 42, and 46 points, which I would say is pretty good. I think they beat Freeport by 18 here, 35-17.
I think the Yellow Jackets, if they have any players who are not 100%, even some that may be a 100% this late in the season, I don't know if it would be wise to play them here. I mentioned a few weeks ago, I'd rather enter the playoffs as an 8 seed, as healthy as I can be, as opposed to a 4 seed where you're dealing with a bunch of injuries. Freeport's in the playoffs. I think that's what they need to focus on here, and I think they're going to go down to Amani and take a 40-16 loss against the Saints, and the Saints clinch the Allegheny 7 conference title. All right, the game I'll be at on Friday, Karns City at Wilmington. The interesting thing here is both teams are 7-2. Both teams have clinched a playoff spot, obviously. Wilmington in District 10, Karns City in District 9. So here's a game where I'm not sure exactly who will be playing in this one. It's not going to affect playoff seeding. It's an inter-district game. I think there might be some star players on both sides sitting out in this one. I have no inside information. That's just a hunch. But the game is going to be played. And, Jake, who are you taking here?
Karns City is going to move to – or actually, sorry, Karns City is going to lose this one. Wilmington's going to win at 35-28. I think that the Greyhounds have just beaten some really good teams and have been tested in District 10 this year. Not that Karns City hasn't been. They've obviously had a pretty grueling schedule in District 9. I don't know. Just something tells me Wilmington's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a tight one, though.
35-28. Brendan.
The Gremlins have won 4 in a row, including that one I covered against Central Clarion. They've scored an average of 40.2 points per game during the stretch, and I think that's a fair amount of offense. I think that they're going to win here 34-21.
I don't know if you – here's Jake's favorite word, momentum. Whatever amount of momentum Karns City has, they've won 3 straight now, I think?
I just said 4.
Or
listening to me.
And they just handed Punxsutawney their first loss of the season.
Yeah.
So whatever momentum they have going in, I don't know how much that's going to be broken up if they lose an inter-district game last week of the regular season. But I think we're going to find out because I have Wilmington winning here. A close game, as Jake thinks. I got the Greyhounds winning by a touchdown, 27-20 over the Gremlins. All right, Montauk trying to close the season with a win going up to St. Mary's. Brendan.
A major portion of St. Mary's schedule has been pretty big gauntlet. I think the Warriors will put up a good fight, but St. Mary's will win 28-21.
Jake.
Montauk is going to finish the season 3-7. St. Mary's is going to win this 42-14. It's been a good first year under Clay Kohlmeyer for this group. Foundation has been built. That's what he was talking about in the preseason. So now it's about trying to add on top of that going into the future years.
I actually confirmed this with Montauk coach Clay Kohlmeyer last week. If they had finished 500, they would have gone to the playoffs. But they needed to win their last 2, and last week they lost to Kings, so that ended their postseason hopes. The Flying Dutch, who are going to be hosting this game, they're averaging just 62 yards passing per contest. They'll keep it on the ground, and they'll be successful. They have a running back named Andrew Field. He's run for over 700 yards this year, and I think he's going to have a big game. I like St. Mary's to win this 36-21 over Montauk. All right, we've already talked about North Catholic earlier in the show. They're going to Hopewell, not yet with a playoff spot locked up. Brendan, do they take care of business against the Vikings?
My reasoning for this one is the same as we talked about earlier. I think Hopewell wins this one 35-28.
Jake.
I have Hopewell winning this one 42-31. And there's one thing that I want to add with this. North Catholic controls its destiny here. If it wins this game, it's in the playoffs. There's no other debate about this. But right now, if it were to lose against Hopewell, it becomes a 3-way tie with Beaver. Beaver is going to lose to, I believe it's Avonworth they're facing this week too, so that's chalked it up to a loss.
Good luck there.
Which would put all 3 teams at 3-3 in the Western Hills Conference. The second tiebreaker so it starts with head-to-head tiebreaker in Whitfield, which is everyone beat each other, went 1-1 in those 3 matchups. So the second tiebreaker goes to how good were your opponents that you faced, and therefore you get 10 points for each conference win those teams have. Well, they all beat the same teams. They both beat 2 winless conference teams and then have each beaten each other once. So that second tiebreaker is also a tie, which means that basically goes down to what was your point differential in your conference games, positive and negative. Did some math on this yesterday, and I forgot to bring the sheet with me when we got into the studio, but I have it roughly memorized. North Catholic has 11 points in this third tiebreaker. Hopewell has -1, and Beaver has 4. So North Catholic, basically, if it loses this game, has to lose by less than a touchdown. I think it's like 5 or 6 points. If they keep it within that, they will have the point differential needed over Hopewell, even after losing to Hopewell, to leapfrog Hopewell. Now, this is also taking into account Beaver is probably going to lose it to Avonworth. If Beaver beats Avonworth and they've just got to win by a couple points, assuming North Catholic loses this game, then Beaver's suddenly in. But for right now, that seems like a long shot that Beaver's going to be competitive in that game. So North Catholic has to lose this game by like 5 points or less to make it to the playoffs. If they lose by 7 or more, it goes Hopewell is in.
Right. Well, we also have to remember that there's 3 conferences in AAA and the Whitfield. The top 3 in each conference make the playoffs automatically, and there will be 3 wild cards that are chosen, which is chosen by the Whitfield committee. I like North Catholic. I know they're definitely a flawed team. but I like them to avoid the whole tiebreaker situation. As Jake mentioned, if they go to Hopewell and they beat the Vikings, they are in, no doubt about it, and I like them to do that. I got them winning a shootout, surprise, surprise, 38-33 over the host Vikings. All right, the rest of these games are just going to be your pick and score. Knock at McKeesport, Jake.
Hate picking a team to go 0-10 on a year, but that's what's going to be 49-7 McKeesport.
Brendan.
6-3-14, same team.
McKeesport 39-7. Mars at Indiana, Brendan.
Mars 47-6.
Jake.
Mars 42-17.
Mars 38-13. North Allegheny at Seneca Valley, Brendan.
Before I say anything here, did you see the score of that North Allegheny Pine Richland game?
Yeah.
Yes, and that had to be a 67-0 Pine Richland game. That had to be a case where North Allegheny was resting their top players. There's no way those two teams could go up against each other, with their number one players, and North Allegheny lose by 67. No way.
No Seneca Valley here. They'll probably make us all look silly. North Allegheny 35-10.
Jake.
NA 42-17.
I like Seneca to make it close, but I'm picking NA 30-20. All right. Mercer at Slippery Rock. The Rockets trying to close the regular season with a win, the season, because they're not going to the playoffs. Jake, who do you like?
The Rockets 27-19.
Brandon.
Slippery Rock 21-7.
Slippery Rock 36-16 over the Mustangs. Saturday's game, Alton Herman, Summit Academy closing the regular season against Shenango. Brendan.
Shenango 24-16.
Almost caught him, Jake.
What I had to say. It's on the record. Shenango 27-13.
Taking Shenango 23-16. Next time we make picks, it'll be postseason time.
Brendan and I, one of us will be in the lead.
Yep.
Going into the playoffs. I do have a quick fantasy update if you guys want that.
That's what I've been looking forward to.
Well, Derek, here's good news and bad news. Good news is Joey Flitsky got you some points again.
Hey.
Bad news is that was about it. You had 20 points last week. You're at 124. I had easily my worst week of the season. I got just 32 points. Now, I do got to clarify this. I got to double check that I did this math right. I feel like I rushed through some of these today to get the week 9 stats, but I'm pretty sure that they're accurate.
Let's find out.
I have 32 points for this week with a total of 242, which means that Brendan finally got the week that he needed, which was me falling on my face and his team taking off. 95 points. He now has 281 and is up by 39 with 1 week to go.
Yes.
1 week to go. So I really, really need Freeport to sit Amos Glenn this week. Really need that.
So does that mean he has to buy the food, or you guys
No,
have to buy it for him? You have to buy it for him.
I would buy it for him.
You know what you're buying, right?
Chipotle.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Speaking of, what's up with Amos Glenn's points this year? I'm told that there's been a bunch that weren't added in there, like the return.
We gotta get.
I gotta ask. Yeah, I gotta ask John.
We gotta get the return touchdowns
Because
in there,
I'm serious. Other teams may look at that and say, "Oh, our kid's close to that." Maybe Karns City's Hunter Shear plays this week. I don't know if they take that into account, but if they know that he's 6 touchdowns back of Glenn, there's.
I feel like that would not be something that Joe Sherwin takes into account. just knowing that he's very
right. But
consistent
the reason we put it in the paper is to give people an idea.
I know.
And if he's got 8 more touchdowns than we're giving him credit for, we got to stick that in the paper.
I'll make sure.
At least have it right 1 week, right?
We'll get it updated.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what you guys were doing. You're talking about other things, and I'm sitting here.
You got the agenda.
I have the agenda, but he added that in.
We got to take the Buffalo pretzel sticks away from
No, you don't. He added that in, and I was sitting here waiting. Y'all need to pump your brakes. That's what you need to do. You need to do this. Did you ever do that when your wife drives?
I rarely see my wife.
I'm basically the only one who drives now.
So I saw this, I think, on the way to Cincinnati when I went there on Thursday. On Twitter, fact checked it. I will give this to you, Derek. This is a trick question.
Oh, great.
Who has the second most receiving yards in NFL history after turning 40 years old? I know you know who number 1 is. Can you get number 2?
Why is it a trick question?
Because after 40 years old, so it means if they had any before 40, they just don't count? So now you got to do math?
Right.
I think I know what the answer to this is.
Hold
I think
on.
I know what he's saying.
You know what you guys should do? You should write it down your answers and let's see. I'll look at
Beyond
them.
Butler, let's do that. What time is it?
3:35. We're good.
Time for me to put a clock over there so you guys can see the time.
Welcome to Beyond Butler, our weekly segment where we talk about something outside of Butler County sports, whether that be professionally or collegiately. I'm a little disappointed that I was not here on Thursday night to see your reaction to the Steelers game because I was in the press box holding my emotions in check.
You know where I was when the game was decided? I was at home, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning because that's when I watched the tape of it.
Really?
It was 2 o'clock in the morning.
He didn't have it on?
We had it on, yeah, but we left before the end of the game.
Okay, so, yeah,
Or they left before the end of the game. I should
From
say.
my vantage point, I kept an eye the entire game on who was covering Jamar Chase. It was mostly Jalen Ramsey. And I know this is different than I wrote in the show notes, but then I remembered I kind of wanted to hear Derek's thoughts on this and yours. Jalen Ramsey did not look like an all-pro coverman that night. And I went up to him after the game. I asked him the question because Joey Porter Jr. kind of blamed it on the refs calling some penalties he thought shouldn't have been penalties and said he wasn't getting explanations. So I went up to Jalen Ramsey. I said, Joey said that he wasn't getting explanations on some calls, and he cut me off. He said, expletive the calls, and said, we have to do better, and kind of just like lectured me and everyone around us because he was not happy. And he made it known he wasn't happy when we walked up to him. He said he wasn't happy because of himself, not because of us. But this is a lot different of a feeling about the Steelers heading into this Sunday's game than it was last Thursday's. Would you agree with that, with how they did and kind of the way they're trending?
Well, we talked about this last week. The NFL was such week to week. This time last week, everybody's talking about what a great situation the Steelers are in. They're 4-1. The Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns all suck. You know, the Bills were losing. Every other, Kansas City already had 2 losses. It's literally week to week. And if they go out and beat Green Bay this week, everybody's like, hey, we're back to, it's literally just minimize the damage. Don't go on losing streaks. If you have a loss here or loss there, yeah, I'm ticked off every time the Steelers lose, but just don't make it a streak. But I want to point one thing out here. They still got Detroit on their schedule. Indianapolis, Buffalo.
Indianapolis being good. Oh my
at
God.
Chicago, who the Steelers have, you literally have to go. They beat Chicago in 95. You got to go back 40 years prior to that, the last time they beat Chicago. And they beat Chicago in Chicago one time in the last 60 years. And that game's on the road. Cincinnati for a second time. We just lost to them. Baltimore 2 times. I don't expect either of those games to be blowouts. Baltimore's going to play. They'll find a way to play us tough. We could be talking 2 months from now about the Steelers being out of the playoff race. We literally could if they go on the slide here. Look what happened last year. They were 10-3, and then they took a freaking nosedive.
Lamar Jackson's not playing this week from the way it sounds. So if they lose again, then I feel like if you're 1-6, do not play your 2-time MVP quarterback the rest of the season. Let him get healthy. Like, do you agree with that?
What are you paying him for?
But what's the point of
then
risking him
what are you
being
paying
hurt
him
for
for
next year?
So what is he doing to get paid though?
Being the MVP quarterback he is and staying healthy.
I think
So you're paying him to sit on his ass. On
But
the couch.
same with Joe Burrow. If the Bengals are out of playoff
Yeah,
race by
thanks
the
for
time
that.
he gets back, do you play him? Because I wouldn't.
Well, I wouldn't pay him either.
if it's week 14 or 15 and they're out, yeah, I don't know if you play them. But if Lamar Jackson's coming back in a week or two, this division's still up for grabs. I know I've been kind of jabbing you guys a little bit, like, hey, the Steelers they're up in the north right now. But
I've seen things go so well for the Steelers and turn sour real quick enough times. When they clinch a playoff spot, that's when I'll have my party poppers out.
I mean,
Jackson should be back. Like, regardless of what their record is in 2 weeks, they've got to go for the division. They have a heavily invested in roster, even with the defensive struggles and even with all the injuries on that side of the ball. They have to go for it. Unless he's so banged up, even when he comes back, that he's ineffective. But then at that point, you still should be resting him anyway. Like, you shouldn't be throwing him out there, at less than like 60% maybe. The North is very much up for grabs. I think the only team I would say it's between the Ravens and the Steelers. Regardless of this Bengals game that just happened, the Ravens are, if they win one game while Who's their backup quarterback now? They've gone through like 2 different guys.
They were playing Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
And then they went to Tyler Huntley, and I'm not sure who they're going to play this week if Jackson doesn't play. Both of those quarterbacks aren't that great.
Just 1 win keeps them in this. They're still 3-4 games behind, and that can be made up pretty quick. Especially they have to face Pittsburgh twice, and it's probably going to be with Lamar back under center or behind center. Those 2 games could really flip the division. You bring him back.
That's it.
Did you change your question?
I did. What's up with you and the editing?
Because I do follow the agenda. Just so you know, it's always pulled up on that screen.
He did mention at the top of this that he was going off script.
I know it doesn't take much to get Derek's wheels turning about the Steelers.
I was probably saving the interview thing, the video. I'm just going to go ahead and do this.
I have acknowledged I'm not trying to slide one over your head here, so...
I have no idea what you're talking about. First, it's a trick question.
I'm not.
Yeah, he said he warned you that it's a trick question.
Yes.
I'm not trying to just.
I think
it's
but
not.
a trick question is trying to slide something past someone.
But I acknowledge that it's a trick question. So
when he
knows.
answers it, can I answer it after?
So avoids it
before you
Let's
give.
do it at the same time from 3, 2, 1.
If you want. Okay.
You ready?
What's the question again? I forget. I'm getting old here.
Which NFL player has the second most receiving yards after turning 40? Jerry Rice has the first. I'm sure you knew that.
Why couldn't you ask that?
Because the last time you answered Jerry Rice,
I got it wrong. That's right, I did.
3, 2, 1.
goose
Go.
egg.
Wait, what did Derek say?
Oh, you didn't say anything.
Nobody.
They both said nobody.
What?
Nobody.
Nobody?
That's the trick. There's nobody in second place.
Oh my gosh.
So I was wrong on that?
Tom Brady with 6 reception yards.
How many times have we talked about Tom Brady? How many weeks do we have to talk about Tom Brady?
Well, he is still
Then
pretty.
Mercedes Lewis is third with 2 receptions.
He's doing car commercials now. Did you see that?
Those 3 are the only to have a catch after 40.
Okay. All right. I wasn't thinking that.
Neither was I.
You know he dropped a
apparently.
pass in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, though,
He
right?
did.
Okay, let's.
Just want to
Looked
remind
very
everyone of that.
unathletic that day.
Well, we already covered some NFL, so if you want to go college or Major League Baseball in this, our final few minutes here, we're going to talk about whatever in the world of sports. I know you're a big Blue Jays fan, so your Blue Jays are in the World Series. Jake, college football, who wants to go first? Brennan, you go first.
Well,
You're the youngest.
we'll skip college football and go back to what I was going to do beyond Butler, which was, is the Dodgers being in the World Series again more of an indictment on big market teams or small market teams in MLB? Because I've seen the argument now that it's the small market teams that are ruining baseball and not the big market teams.
Spend your money. That's it. So I had this conversation with John on Friday, and the one thing that I would say that the Dodgers do that I wouldn't complain if it was closed is the loophole of allowing them to use deferred money. Because Shohei Ohtani is getting paid $2 million a year for like the first 5 years of his contract, and the rest of that $600 million is all backloaded in the last 10 plus into future years when he's not even probably going to be playing. And it's probably going to be when this current Dodgers ownership sells the team, so that way the future owners are saddled with all of these deferred contracts. I wouldn't mind that being closed. That's the long-term IR stuff that NHL's been dealing with, and they finally closed that loophole in the current CBA, so that way the Panthers and Lightning and other teams can't just store a guy on the bench with an injury, an actual injury, but one that he should have come back from well sooner, and just have him magically appear in the playoffs ready to go, even though he's making $8 million for the year. Small market teams, these are all franchises owned by not someone with our salary. They're all billionaires. They're all billionaires.
Huh?
If you want to compete, spend the money. That's all I think it is. You even see it in like NFL, NBA, and hockey is the teams that generally spend less on their roster, even though those are salary capped and floored leagues. The teams that spend the least on their roster are usually the ones that are going to do worse anyway. Or the teams that don't fund their infrastructure aren't the best run organizations. We always say are like the worst teams. The Clippers for the longest time.
I know it's not going to happen because right now the Major League Baseball's players are making X amount of money, and when you put a cap on that, there's no way the Players Association is ever going to vote for that. But I think what would help is if you have a salary cap in baseball, but you also have a salary floor. That way, the owners you can't go out and try to compete with a $50 million payroll. I mean, you literally would have to spend a minimum, and then there's a maximum you can spend.
I look at it this way, like as a Phillies fan who's seen for the first time the franchise spend money above the salary, above the luxury tax. I can sit here and yell about XYZ players doing bad in a game or making a bad pitch or making a bad play or whatever, but I can't say that my team doesn't try. The ownership doesn't try. What is the number one complaint that Pirates fans have about the Pirates? That Nutting does not spend
That's
money.
why I asked you a few weeks ago, what would your opinion of the Pirates be? If put us in you're a fan of a major league franchise being owned by Bob Nutting, what would your reaction be?
Yeah, and it's
it's
like,
incredibly frustrating.
I'm not frustrated at the franchise or the ownership in the sense of they're not trying. They've just made some bad calls on who they sign, who they draft, and whatnot, which every franchise does. It's not like someone hits 100, or 1,000 in all those decision makings. Even Howie Roseman, my favorite GM in all of Philadelphia, he's whiffed on quite a few, and now we're bringing back the retired Brendan Graham.
I will say this though, that they've always said in a small market team, if you make a big mistake, it's much more magnified than if you make a big mistake and you're the owner of the Dodgers or the Yankees.
The Phillies literally sat Taijuan Walker for most of the last 3 years. He's making $20 million a year to pitch 5 times a season, basically. Like, yeah, I give you that part of it, but
we're in the wrong profession, gentlemen.
All right. Next week is Halloween.
Next week's Halloween, and our former sports editor, John Andrietto, is going to be here to talk some playoff football.
Playoffs?
What's
Not
John
a game.
dressing up as?
We're all going to be in costume.
What's John dressing up as?
We got to talk to him. We'll find out when we go up to the office.
We encourage you to subscribe to the Butler Eagle YouTube channel and Apple or Spotify podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast and at Butler Eagle News. Goodbye.